Now I know you might think what I'm about to tell you is just a podcast, but I swear every word of it is the Bible truth, so help me.
What's happening, Hellspawn? Welcome back to another episode of Spawnography. I'm one of your hosts, George Marston, pronouns they, them, or she, her, and with me, as always,
Pierce Leiden, pronouns they, them. How you doing, George?
You know, I'm hanging in there. We were just talking about it. I've been in the studio with my band, basically just working on getting our next track finished. I'm very excited about it. So if you haven't heard in the last episode or two that I mentioned it, my new band is out there. You can check us out. Our band is called La Cigarette. And you can find us on Bandcamp or just go to coolbutrude.com. There's my early plug.
It's great that you were able to get coolbutrude.com.
Isn't that cool?
Well, it's also rude.
Yes.
Because I wanted it. So.
Oh, I'll sell it to you.
I feel like I have to, or maybe this is something for both of us to work on in 2026, is try to anticipate the domain names that will be needed and try to sell them to the people that will need them.
Yeah,
or keep
the domain
them,
squatting.
Or keep them from the fascists who want to use them.
We should go ahead and buy up xbutbetter.com. Elon Musk will sue us so fast.
Probably love that. I hate that he just decided that his favorite letter was X and that's the coolest letter because
it's stupid.
It's stupid, but also he's right.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't like it for good reasons. He likes it for dumb fucking computer jock reasons. We like it for cool reasons, like because of the X-Men.
Exactly. So we have a rare 3-issue episode today.
Not so rare lately. We've had a few.
I guess that's true. We have been doing them a little bit more lately, but these are Spawn issues rather than Sam & Twitch case files.
True.
We are hurtling towards issue 150. We're hurtling towards the end of Al Simmons' story for now. And I have to say that at this juncture, I don't know how the dismount is going to work.
I don't know
because the book definitely feels like it is like circling the same things kind of over and over again. It's circling the same kinds of ideas. It is.
Well, I think they did a great job of setting up like what the stakes are when Cog went ahead and took over Hell way back. What was that? 125 or something? 150?
Something like that.
Not 150. How the hell could it be?
Couldn't be 150.
No, we haven't. Yet. Nope. Whichever one it was one of the milestone issues. Spawn helps Cog, inadvertently helps Cog take over Hell. So, I mean, yeah, like setting everything up and kind of establishing the stakes felt very clean, but it almost feels like we could have gotten to this point like 10 issues ago and not had so many pieces that feel like, okay, well, now where is this going to go on the chessboard in the last 3 issues of this like arc or story or whatever? Like the Fallen, the stuff with the horde of the fallen angels and
the forgotten ones.
And that we discussed in the last episode. That did lend some insight into Mammon that seems like it could have been there from the beginning, but also that felt very much like, well, let's get another 2 arcs in there or 2 issue arc in there, and now we also have to figure out where these fucking guys go.
Yeah, before Al had a very specific goal. I would say like the first 100 issues, right? If we use that as the point of delineation, Al had a pretty
Right.
specific goal, which was like try to get back his humanity in some way, but also defeat Malbolgia to maybe get out of this bad deal. And then he didn't have much of a plan after that, which is
Right.
fine. Like he's not a very, as a character, he's not one who really thinks ahead, right? We've
Well,
known
and
that
also it's
this
kind of
about him.
interesting to go into that kind of aftermath of like when you finally defeat your big villain. Like a lot of the time, Lord of the Rings, all right, in the novels when they go home back to the Shire has been blown to shit by orcs.
Yeah.
Like the thing they left to save has been destroyed. And it creates this aftermath of defeating the villain where it's like, oh, but it cost us so much. It shows you something beyond just a happy ending. This is kind of similar in the sense of where it's like, okay, well, the end of the story was him beating Malbolgia, but then what? He doesn't know he's the dog who caught the car.
Right. Right. And Mammon's been around for quite a while at this point, but even, and we only kind of just got clued into his true motivations and his true nature. So that part of hurtling towards this like new status quo that we are arguably like 20 issues out from feels more, uh, it feels like we're on more of a track. But then we get issues like these three issues where I'm like, I get that comic books have to come out every month, but it feels like we're kind of going back to. Wait, it feels like we are just throwing in a thematic issue to throw in a thematic issue that doesn't feel as connected to the story. And
The first issue here is so random. It
okay.
is.
I thought I was like missing something kind of, and I read it over a couple of times just to be like, I don't think I'm missing anything. This is just some weirdness that like maybe we'll have it explained somewhere down the line, but at the
I
outset
have
it doesn't feel like it.
We'll get into it, and there is something like there is a little like O. Henry kind of twist in it
Yeah.
that's like, okay, I get it, but also like, what did that mean in Spawn's life or story? And there's not much to say.
Yeah, it's
It's tough to piece together. We'll get into it because it kicks off. By the end, it's so confusing.
it kind of just throws a twist in, and it's one of those it's one of those issues that, and I'll do the credits in a second just so we can really get into it, but it's one of those issues that just feels like, okay, we're going to do a Twilight Zone and we're just going to move on. It's a
Eh,
big reason that we're covering 3 issues today as opposed to just 2, is that we've got this one shot and then a 2-issue arc, but right before 150 begins a new arc. Uh, but this one does feel, I guess maybe it's them planning out and going, "Oh, we don't want a new arc. We don't wanna be in the middle of an arc for 150."
I guess.
I don't know. I don't know. Feels
I
it all
guess.
feels pretty strange, but
There's not much. Yeah, I'm not sure where the hell 150 is going to take us at this point, to be honest. And so, yeah, you know what, Pierce? Before we even get any further, you know what? Without further ado, we got 3 issues. Let's go ahead and get into it. Hit me with those credits.
All right, this is gonna be Spawn number 147. Todd McFarlane Image Comics present Howl. Plot by Todd McFarlane and Brian Holguin. Story by Brian Holguin. Pencils by Angel Medina. Inks by Danny Miki. Victor Olazaba, Alan Martinez and Crime Lab Studios. Lettering by Tom Warzakowski. Colors by Brian Haberlin. Cover by Greg Capullo. It's a cool, like, it looks digitally painted kind of cover. It's pretty cool. Dedicated to Philip Tan. Philip Tan will take over on pencils starting with issue 150.
Sure will.
So that is something to look forward to or not, depending on how you feel about Philip Tan. But we're going to have to talk about him for 12 issues. So there's that.
I'll say that I saw that in the credits and I was like, oh, right. Not traditionally always been a fan. Don't hate him, but he's got some quirks to his art that I am often like, oh, well. There it is again. And I'll save that until we're actually looking at it.
Cool.
On that note, what else were you going to say?
No,
Oh,
I just,
dedicated to Philip Tan.
yeah,
Sorry, that's
dedicated
right.
to him. On that note, yeah, we're going to get into it. And for a book called Howl, of course, we start with a wolf
Yes,
running
we
towards the
do.
reader
And it's
with the bit that we did at the beginning. And the wolf is all in shadows and black as the moon is gigantic and it is lunging at us.
It's got
And
bright red eyes. It's okay. Right off the bat, I want to say I like the art in this issue. I like the colors in particular. They let the hard blacks really stand out on the page in a lot of places and use the snow and the, like you said, the huge like winter moon
yeah,
as kind of the cool colors on the page. And it's I like this page to start. It's a great, like, what is this, a 6-panel sequence of the wolf getting closer.
yeah,
Now, I thought the wolf was going to have to do more with Spawn, and we'll talk about why it doesn't. But speaking of Spawn, this little kid, kind of a Tiny Tim looking kid walking with a stick, runs out. I guess it's just his walking stick. He's just having fun. Um, Hold on a second. So, speaking of Spawn or Al Simmons, this kid is running through the snow, just kind of playing. When he runs up across Al laying in the snow, he pokes him with a stick, realizes that he's not moving, and he runs for his grandfather. He says, "Grandma always said to be wary of strangers. Just because something looks harmless doesn't mean it is. She says that the most peaceful looking soul might have a terrible beast lurking inside of him. Grandma's very old and very wise, and she knows what she's talking about." So he runs to get his dad, and then Al wakes up and he's in this cabin.
yep,
And he's suddenly in the fucking like cabin from the witch. Like
yeah.
you've got fucking the dad here who looks just like Abraham Lincoln.
Whose
Uh
eyes are completely blacked out, which
they've
is
got this
weird.
weird mantle with like the jackalope hanging on it.
Yeah,
Like
which makes the mantle. I thought at first I was like, is it a face? Is that all the face? And I was like, no, the colors are just pretty subtle. And then yeah,
but I mean it I'm not prepared to say it's not intentionally looking that way.
yeah, it's tough to say.
Because there is that big splotch. It's funny that it's a jackalope and they just have a jackalope hanging there.
Yeah,
I mean, look, when I used to go to like scout camp, there was a jackalope like hanging on the wall, a jackalope taxidermy, and the big one. I went to a camp called Camp Rainy Mountain, very famous
mm.
uh, Boy Scout camp in North Georgia. I went there for years, and their big thing was that they had a cryptid, which was the beaver shark. And
Is it like a half and half situation? Is it a
it's like a beaver with like a shark's mouth and like shark fins,
okay?
like
So
a
like a
shark
combo,
fin. Yeah, it's like a hybrid, like a chimera, if you will. Much like a jackalope, for those who don't know, is a bunny with deer antlers.
right?
If you remember good old Dave Coulier on America's Funniest People, he had a whole bit where there was a little stuffed jackalope wearing the coolest Zubaz pants. And I won't do the voice, but you can probably picture it or hear it. And yeah, like you got grandmama, you got like this is a rustic cabin. They're
Yeah,
like cooking in a Dutch oven over the fire. He's like, this is this is more fairy stuff to me, but I think I think they're ghosts. Like right off the bat, that's my
it feels like
understanding.
we've gone back in time or
Yeah,
something.
or something. There's not really any indication of why or how. And then Al wakes up in the middle of the night and they're all gone, and he sees this picture of them that says 1840, and he's like, what the hell? Meanwhile, outside, all these hunters are drunkenly gathering to hunt down uh, a bunch of wolves, which are protected. There are hunting laws against wolves in many places. I don't actually know if there are any or what the laws are in Minnesota where this is, but we'll just go ahead and assume that in this universe they do have those laws against hunting wolves because of depreditization and like prey species blooming
You actually
or
currently
flourishing.
cannot hunt wolves in Minnesota for sport because they're federally protected as a
There you
threatened
go.
species.
Yep.
Because so they can only be lethally removed if posing an immediate threat to humans, livestock, or pets. And that must be reported. Minnesota does have the largest wolf population in the lower 48.
Wow.
And there have been times when it has been not protected because especially in the as
Right.
human civilization has continued, it has there have we've gone through cycles of like, okay, we're not killing wolves, oh shit, wolves are killing everything, we have to kill wolves
Right.
because they don't
Yes.
have any other predators really
There
otherwise.
yes, there has to be a control in order to make sure that prey species don't over flourish because that can mess up other parts of the biome, and that there's not overpredation because there are too many predators running wild. Now they're a
Right.
protected species, and I'm sure there's a lot more to it than just, trying to protect the prey
Yeah.
populations. Anyway, here these hunters are not having it, and the wolves come for them, these demon wolves, and they're all tearing through them, hunting them around the fire. And I don't really blame the wolves.
Yeah, me neither. So
Like,
the thing that's tough about this story is like, we meet the first family at the beginning and they're like kind of like nice to Al and he goes back to sleep. He sees these hunters, but we're not to understand whether or not these hunters are doing the right thing, the wrong thing. I mean, I guess we're to understand that it's the wrong thing because they're saying like to hell with the governor and the don't hunt the wolves, like we're going to do it
right, they're
anyway.
specifically saying we're about to break this law that wolves are protected. They're
Yeah,
letting
but
us know we're about to do crimes.
yeah,
Um,
but
but
like the wolves themselves, we don't understand their nature. Like, are these demon wolves? They're certainly drawn that way. Are they just normal wolves? We don't really know.
so
Uh,
the next double page spread where Spawn shows up, I actually love this spread, even though a little bit of it's cut off, because I love the inking on the wolves.
oh yeah.
And I just love the inking and the colors on this whole page.
The inking on
It's
the 2 wolves right before that double page spread rules. They look
Oh yeah.
awesome, and it's like, I've not seen Medina look this good. So
In a long time.
shout
Like,
out to
yeah.
whoever at Crime Lab Studios was in charge of that page
Like I
because
said, they
it looks
really
awesome.
have a lot of room to let the background be bright,
Yeah,
even while establishing, like, this is clearly a nighttime fight, but they really let the moon glow with that blue wintry haze.
yeah.
The thing is, Spawn is leaping in not to help the wolves, but to help the hunters who are about to illegally kill the wolves. Now, I guess Spawn may not know what they're doing,
Yeah.
but
He
then
just
it's
sees wolves
weird to make
attacking
us
humans.
know because it's not going to matter later.
Yeah.
It just makes me be like, well, Spawn, it was man versus wolf at that point. Like, I can't begrudge the wolf.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh, in this case, the humans also are like, "Well, what the fuck is that?" As soon as they see Spawn. So he buys
yeah.
them time to grab their guns. They obviously take aim at him because he's scary as well.
Another
And
great double page spread here where the chains are flying
yeah,
and the wolf, the speed lines and the like inking on the fur of the wolf looks so good. Like, I really, really love how rich that is.
yeah, it's awesome.
Spawn punches through this wolf. Now, I guess we should have warned for animal cruelty, but these are like hellhounds.
Yeah,
They're like, they got bright, glowing eyes. And see, that's the thing. I thought they'd be like Spawn wolves because, he's been connected to like the wolves and the bats
the
and the
evil
worms of
things
the night
in
and the
nature.
creatures of the
Yeah,
darkness because they're vessels of sin. And it's just odd. He beats the hell out of these wolves. While he's doing it, he gets shot by one of the hunters. I love the inking through the whole thing. excuse me. I love the inking through the whole thing. Don't love Spawn just again beating up hunters,
Sure, I
uh,
mean,
or
whatever.
beating up the wolves. I mean, sorry. Don't love Spawn beating up the wolves, saving the hunters who are going to kill them.
Well,
But
with again, I don't really care about him beating up wolves if I understand what the wolves are. But in this case, I guess they're just normal wolves. So in that case, then I don't really want him to be
I
doing it.
literally do not understand why the family was ghosts.
So we
Like
get
they
a
could have just been. Look, I know
Spawn
we
gets
don't.
shot. He's bleeding out under the moon. It says no hunters ever came back after the night, I can tell you. And we never saw or heard from the stranger again. Which we're like, okay, hold on. Is that the kid narration again? Cut
Yeah.
to sometimes I wonder if he was ever if he ever found what he was looking for, if he's still out there wandering somewhere. Grandma says it ain't much use worrying about matters that don't concern you. Life hands you trouble enough without going out and looking for more, and folks are going to do what they're going to do, each according to his nature. And so he's just like playing in the
Oh, hold
woods
on a
now.
minute. I just figured this out. Okay, this comic,
Is it?
you're gonna feel so stupid
What do you mean?
that it took me so long to figure out what the fuck this story is because there's just not. The family is the wolves. They're werewolves. They're not ghosts. They're all werewolves. And so, okay, when we
But it
go through
still
this
doesn't make
fight,
any
well,
sense.
here's doesn't matter. Here's what I need to establish for my own sanity. First off, still love this fight. I love the double page spread where Spawn's saying, "Where the hell did you come from?" That's what I want to see in a spread. It looks great. The balance is great. Again, the wolf really looks excellent. Spawn, using his chains, grabs a flaming log out of the fire, slams it into the wolf's eye, and the wolf runs off, leaving Spawn wounded. He runs off into the night. Then, on the final page that you were just talking about, we see that the only ones left are the little boy and the grandma whose eye is now gone. So, for some reason, Spawn fought a family of werewolves that took him in,
Couldn't even
and
be a
it,
family of werewolves because we saw 4 people and only 2 wolves.
no, there were more wolves. Spawn killed 2 of them.
The number of wolves is not clear.
Yeah. Well, okay. No. If you look here, there are 3 wolves. There are 3 wolves.
I see 2 wolves on that splash page.
Hold on a second. Okay. If you go all the way back to where the wolves show up,
Okay, one. I see. Okay, I see 3.
one gets shot and goes down. Then there are 2 more left. So that's 3. Spawn kills 2 of them and then wounds the one with the eye.
All
So
right.
the 2 parents are dead. The little boy, I guess, escapes, and the grandma loses her eye. I'm going to say this right now. It's stupid.
It's
I rarely am just going to be like, this is a stupid
then
story.
also. So I guess like that's the other part that I didn't get. I was like, so they're from 1840. When does this story take place? Because the hunters are clearly from now
Modern, yes.
because they have
I
like
think
a
it takes
schema,
place
a
now. I
snowmobile.
think the implication is they've been werewolves since 1840. I don't understand what this story is. It just feels like they were like, Spawn versus werewolves. And like, okay, sure. But like, what is the twist here? It's not, it took us that long to actually figure out exactly what it is. And maybe that's because we're stupid, but I think at least part of it is that the story, the payoff isn't there. It doesn't make any
Do
sense.
we think that maybe this is a limitation of Marvel style again?
Here's what I think.
Where a plot was given, a plot was executed by an artist, and then they went, "Welp, uh, that's not exactly what we wanted, but I guess."
Here's what I thought. This is what would have made it all make sense. Okay.
Okay.
If Spawn is fighting the wolves, Hunter shoots one of the wolves and it turns back into a person. Spawn realizes the wolves are the family, then saves them from the hunters.
Sure.
That would have
Easier,
been
cleaner.
there would have been some kind of payoff to the idea that like Spawn met the wolves. Like, you're honest to God, you're not going to believe it. That grandma had an eye that went that it got she had it hit by Spawn and the eye was
I'll say
gone.
that even the panel where he takes her eye out with the torch, not clear that that's what's happening. Could just
No.
be hitting her in the face. Anyway,
It's sad because I actually like the art a lot through
I
the
like the
story,
art
and
too.
it's not the art's fault that the story is weird. Maybe there's there, like you said, maybe there's a disconnect between the storytelling, but the art itself looks nice. That said, we're moving into Spawn number 148.
All right, it's got all the same credits, but this is Spawn number 148. Todd McFarlane Image Comics present Random Patterns Part 1, dedicated to David Hine. Notably, David Hine has written for Marvel. He wrote X-Men the 198, Civil War X-Men, but
Right.
for us, he's the writer of Spawn from issues 151 to 184. So we're getting some dedications to Brian Holguin and Angel Medina's replacements coming up, which is interesting. I think
the comic has to evolve at some point.
so. This is kind of what I'm saying is like I think that the book is definitely like, all right, wrap it up.
Yeah.
But also like you have only a set amount of time. And again, what's interesting is I wonder, we'll get to 150 eventually, but I wonder if Holguin doesn't sort of hand off to David Hine within that issue, you know?
Right.
But we'll get there when we get there.
For now, Spawn has arrived in where else but Chicago, baby.
Yep.
He's going to get some deep dish and be seriously disappointed in what they call pizza because he's from New York. Chicago tavern pizza, pretty good. Chicago deep dish, not pizza. It's
I
a
hate
casserole.
deep dish.
It's awful. It's
I hate
awful.
It's bad. Sorry,
bad.
Chicago listeners.
I will say I've had good deep dish pizza, but I don't consider it really pizza. And I've never had good Chicago deep dish pizza, unfortunately. I like a pan pizza, a little thicker crust.
I like a normal pizza.
No,
New York pizza is the correct pizza.
That's true. No argument there. That is what pizza is. Sorry, Italy. I know that's controversial, but
we're offending all of our pizza eating listeners that are outside of New York.
Grimaldi's in
Solid
New York.
spot.
My favorite.
We also get a little bit of Sue, the T-Rex, at the Field Museum.
Chicago hot dogs, pretty good.
No, those are great. We get Wrigley Field, which is fun.
Yep.
And
they're at Cream Smoot, Wrigley Field.
Yeah. I guess it's ice cream and smoothies, probably something like that. Anyway, there's all this narration about
how
being in Chicago,
cities,
how it feels so different, but it also feels like something is trying to communicate with our narrator. And we find out quickly that our narrator is Al. And he says, there's something else, like a radio frequency fading in and out. Someone is trying to tell me something. The only question is who.
Poor Al is out there panhandling, unfortunately, which no one should ever have to do. Just going to say that real quick. Everyone should have everything they need provided to them as a matter of human rights, just to get that out of the way. But yeah, he's looking for help. At the same time, he's spiraling because he knows that Memon took something from him. We know that what he took was his memories of his entire family and his human life for the most part, except for all the bad shit that he did. He is looking through these papers and circling like Wolf, Hellspawn, like he's finding, it's his Ingalls pawn shop and it says Hellspawn. He circles Hell and Spawn, circling Killer, Forgotten, Angels. And he's clearly spiraling, trying to figure this out. He's also taking this as part of that, like you said, what he calls a radio frequency of someone trying to contact him. Again, the art on these pages, pretty solid.
The inking has taken a different turn than we're used to, and it's still pretty like a lot of hatching, a lot of lines, especially on like Al's face here. The kind of thing that we attribute a lot with to 90s style comics. However, I think that whoever's inking some of these pages or taking the lead on inking these pages, because we know it's a team effort, is putting a lot into creating more contrast with some deeper blacks across the page and just blacking stuff out, which allows the line work to feel, despite it being pretty busy, a lot cleaner than we usually get from Medina.
Yeah.
And these are pages also that do lend themselves to that, because Medina is being tasked with drawing newspapers and newspaper clippings,
Yeah.
etc. And I like this whole kind of sequence too, because it feels frantic in a way, as Al is like looking for these messages, like he's looking for something,
Yeah.
and the title is a little on the nose, random patterns, right?
But
But
he's walking past like
yeah,
these billboards. One of them says, "There's no place like home." And the other one says, "You have what it takes to be a hero." Clearly calling back to like aspects of Al's life, those hidden patterns again. And he's trying to figure out if he's been to Chicago before. He feels like he has. He says maybe when he was a kid, but he can't even remember his parents. There he is eating a hot dog with just mustard on it, which fair enough. Now I want hot dogs. Um,
you want a hot dog real bad.
I want a hot dog real bad.
While he's eating his hot dog, though, he's noticing an old woman who is being accosted by some finance bros, it seems.
Let's just go ahead and say there's a trigger warning for I don't even fucking know what. Like 4chan dehumanizing weird fucking bum fights. Fucking it's just a prank
Yeah,
bro shit where they're trying to offer her money to let them do like spit on her or like worse things.
yeah.
You can guess what's worse. We don't need to go into it, but just like trying to get her to let them do
They're
things
trying
like
to
that.
humiliate her,
Yeah,
basically, for
exactly.
money.
Dehumanize her. And they're laughing so hard about it. But Spawn shows up, or rather, Al shows up, and beats the living shit out of one of these guys, who calls him a slur, by the way.
Yeah.
Sure sign of like the fact that this is of its era
A
still.
comic book that came out in 2005 and is an Image comic that is for an older audience.
You know, I gotta say, sometimes you go back and read a comic or something from like not that far off from this era, and you're like, why is there just a slur in the middle of this
Yeah.
fucking. I was starting to reread Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four, and fucking Valeria calls Franklin the R slur
Oh,
in
yeah.
like the first issue, and it's like, boy,
Is that book, what, 12 or 13 years old at this point?
more than that, it's like
Really?
16 or 17 years old
Jeez.
because Secret Wars, the 2015 Secret Wars, is
Oh, it was
11
the
years
end of that.
ago.
Yeah.
And that was like, yeah, that was like after the end.
Wow.
That was like 2 years after his Fantastic Four.
Jeez.
So, not that far off, not excusable to me. I wish that, honestly, I know that we don't like re editing or censoring shit, but I kind of wish they would just switch that with any other fucking word, basically.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that's the beauty of digital comics, especially now, and the fact that so many people read digitally. Like, sure, like whatever you printed it once upon a time, it's in the printed book. I don't know, just fix it when
They've
you
done that
reprint.
so many times
Yeah,
with so
exactly.
many things. But anyway, I still love that run. I
Yeah,
haven't gone all the
that's
way
not
back
gonna.
through it, but I don't believe that it was like morally bad.
Yeah,
Anyway,
great.
there we
Al breaks
go.
this guy's arm, and
I think it's morally bad to use a slur. I don't think the comic overall is morally
yeah,
bad.
no, I got you.
Anyway,
Al kicks shit out of these guys. He turns over his shoulder and his eyes glow green with the spawn energy, and the guys get scared, and even the old woman kind of gets scared and is like, "What the hell are you?" And Al kind of just runs away, essentially.
as they're like,
And
call an ambulance because Al really almost killed him.
yeah, and then he's got a real Pepe Sylvia type
Yeah,
type situation going on behind him, where he's
he's got
just
the.
looking for all these patterns, and none of it is making any sense to him. And he's got a picture of a clown, a Slayer logo,
He's
the
got
word
A Wanda Sykes
yeah,
flyer. At this point, it's like it looks like, okay, were you ever outside of Comic-Con and like saw the dudes with like the big signs that say
yeah,
like
yeah, that are
Satan
like, "You're
is
going to hell."
like transgender, postmodernism, Buddhism, witchcraft, like these things are all the road to hell, and it's like dumb shit like trigonometry is Satan,
Yeah,
3 times 2 is 6 times 3 is 666. Um, but it looks like that. It's just got like Satan, and I'm still laughing at Wanda Sykes. Like they
yeah,
must have
it's
just been
pretty good.
happy. Funny, funny.
Works. Most famous Wanda at this point,
Is that
2005.
what it is? Is that why it's there, Wanda?
Did she?
I guess that
That's
is.
that's why it's there. Yeah, that's why it's there.
That was a bit. What I just said was a bit.
Good save.
Wasn't it? Was it fun? You're laughing, so it worked.
It was funny.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Al's kind of inner monologue is going on still, and he says, a great unraveling. That was what the Forgotten One said. He told me my mom was using me as a tool, unmaking the laws of creation. Great forces held in check will be let loose. Creatures that have dwelled in shadow will be set free upon the world. A new rebellion, a second war in heaven. And somehow I'm at the center of it all. It's like an endless waking nightmare, just waiting for the axe to fall. I just wish I could close my eyes for a couple of minutes, escape into the arms of a deep, dreamless sleep. Shut off my mind for a little while, please. And it starts to rain, and he's just like, the city's not going to let me sleep, like, not tonight. And he continues to wander, and he continues to just go deeper into the city, this kind of unknown city to him, even though it does feel familiar, and even though something seems to be calling to him, something seems to be kind of nagging him to some greater meaning that he cannot figure out. And I think that this is the kind of stuff that I do like from Holguin. And I've said it before. Like I like when he like gets a little bit poetic and a little bit gives us a little bit of interiority from Al. I
Mhm.
like hearing Al sort of struggling with his place in everything. We've done angry Al, we've done confused Al, without those Wanda memories kind of anchoring him. I like that we now have this sort of like
He,
depressed, lost version of this
he's kind
character
of
that
the
we've come.
Bill Bixby Incredible Hulk
Yeah,
version
and we've
of
said that
this.
a
Yeah,
couple of times,
exactly.
and I think that that's clearly a little
That
bit of the at least
wandering kind of hero. Yeah.
yeah, a little bit of that inspiration. And I think that because he doesn't understand his place in this conflict, one thing that is a little bit frustrating is that like it did seem that every time it does seem like Spawn does gain some understanding about his power, gain some understanding about what to do and how to wield it, it kind of gets ripped away from him in a way that is more than just like depowering him. It is like completely throwing him off course in a way that I don't think we're fully used to seeing from monthly superhero comics, right?
Right.
Batman might like lose his fortune, but he doesn't like forget how to be Batman,
I
right?
mean, they've done stuff. You see it from time to time where there's things like that, but
Sure, I'll bring up like Bunny Robo Suit, Jim Gordon as Batman during
sure,
Snyder's run, where Bruce is amnesiac or essentially like untraumatized, like
it's been done.
yeah,
But it's interesting with Spawn because there's so much more at stake than Gotham City.
right.
Like to see him as this sort of wanderer, it's almost like a Pilgrim's Progress sort of thing, or like a Dante Alighieri like moving into the Inferno kind of thing, where he is this sort of cosmic traveler at this point, trying to piece together not just where he's from, but like where everything is going at this point. And he is unmoored from the thing that has traditionally been his own anchor.
Do you think though that it undermines the stakes to follow only the character who doesn't know what the fuck is going on, and that we spend so much time with. We just spent an issue with him like fighting wolves for no reason. And so does that undercut the stakes to say like, well, we're going to follow this guy and he has no fucking clue what's going on, but we promise something important's going to happen.
I don't hate it or anything. I mean, I think it's fine. I think you were absolutely right though about like there was 20 or 22 pages there that really didn't need to not actually be part of the story at all. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
we could have used that space for like adding more to what happens here to make some of those pieces fall in line for Al.
Would
Because
would the book benefit at this point? And I'm not trying to make this a well, this is what I would do. I kind of am just throwing this out as like a both of us have read thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of comics at this point, right, in our
absolutely.
lives. Would the book benefit from like a Mammon issue at this point? Like,
That's exactly what I was thinking is like something like that where we get to see what's going on from that side, get to see the like yellow brick road that Spawn actually has to like, even the Wizard of Oz is a great example. You check in with the Wicked Witch every so often and you see her actually moving the chains as we like to say.
yeah,
Um and we had that a little bit before. Now that he's kind of disappeared into the throne of heaven, it's kind of just been everybody being like, Mamon's using you, and here's how. It kind of feels like a repeat of Malbolge's using you when they're all using him.
right.
And I
Cog
think
was using him.
what
Mammon's
this
doing it
is,
now.
you
Nyx
said
was doing it.
confused Al, you said angry Al. This is desperate Al.
Hmm.
That's what this is.
But it's a sort of unfocused desperation. And I'm not saying that desperation is always focused, but what I mean is that like we're used to desperate characters taking kind of like desperate times call for desperate measures, right?
Right.
Kind of the cliche. I don't even think he knows what the measures are to take at this point. And I think that as a reader, it does make it it's not like it's not like
Well,
oh, it's not like Spider-Man No More, right? Where suddenly we just know, Peter, you got to put on the suit again, right? Even
right.
in this case, it's like in this next scene, he's going to turn into Spawn as he continues to walk into the shadows. He
Well,
knows
and
he has this power, you know?
he's going to get back some of what was lost, which almost feels like a missed opportunity in some way. I think you're right that there are ways that it's undercutting parts of it, but I don't think it's undercutting so much as it's being underutilized in some ways.
Mm.
Now, that said, getting back into what's happening here, I love the art on the next few pages. I love this scene where he is wandering into what seems to be his alley. We see this alley belongs to Spawn graffiti. We see the throne. I just love the colors on this, especially these top three panels that stretch across the pinks and the blues and the greens
Yeah, I like it too.
with the spawn having really the most vivid colors and everything around him being slightly washed out. It looks so good. And then when we snap back into uh the actual city. I didn't check it out, but there's a URL here, uselessmayhem.com on the back of one of these
Yeah, I
signs.
looked it up. It's not active anymore. I should
Cool.
look it on the Wayback Machine.
Well, as we move back into the city, we get one of those like Ninja Turtles moments where it's two guys in a cab or something or in a car and Spawn jumps down in front of them, and one of them's like, "Whoa, get out of the way!" And the other one goes, "Did you see that?" Like literally Raphael rolling over the
Yep.
cab, which I love. Then we get this shot of Spawn jumping into the city. I don't love everything about it, but I love the chain. I love the shape of the city. I love the that what do we say, Mike Zeck style of like those blacked out cityscapes that really add some moodiness to the shots of Spawn like jumping over the city.
Yeah. I found out what Useless Mayhem was. It's a skate. So I found the website on the Wayback Machine, and if you go to the the film. I guess it says, "Hey everyone, this is a semi-new site made for skateboarding and snowboarding. We sponsor all kinds of skaters at your local skate parks and boarders at your local mountains. We're looking to grow, so if you want to sign up to be a recruiter, just email me. I'll be hiring skate and snowboarding recruiters who go to skate parks, mountains, and schools. Take pics and send them to me and my group of guys. We go
Huh.
over them and decide who we want to throw a free shirt and other stuff to. It's free and nonprofit. I actually pay for the stickers and shirts out of my own pocket. I'm doing this so I can give regular kids something to skate and shred for. Email if you're interested. After seeing dedication by recruiters, I will send you some stuff to sport while going to parks. So let's have at it. Don and the
Okay.
team."
Basically a street team back in the day. Did you ever
Yep.
do street team stuff?
No, I did want to, but then I didn't. I don't know. I just never. My
I used to
parents
do
didn't
it.
like me to like sign up for mailing lists or anything like that, and they didn't trust the internet. So,
I got into it through like there were signups in like alternative press magazine and like other shit that I was reading like music magazines, and then also when I was in my first band, um I'll have to tell you something about that in a minute that I think is funny, but I don't want it to be in the podcast.
okay.
When I was in my first band, our drummer's older brother uh did it a lot, and he showed me how to sign up for stuff. And one of the ones I got a bunch of stuff from was Dead Z. Do you know Dead Z?
No.
The band of Elijah Blue Allman, who is the son of Cher and Greg Allman, I think.
Huh.
And Dead Z is like his like goth new wave new metal band. I sure loved him when I was like 17. Anyway, yeah, sounds like kind of a street team thing where you just sign up and they send you some shirts and you go give them out, or some CDs or whatever, sometimes tapes.
Yeah. Hey, reach out to us if you ever did anything with Useless Mayhem.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear about it. But it's crazy that I got into this book. I was looking on the Wayback Machine. I didn't see any mention of Spawn from 2005 or 2006. So who
I'm
knows?
sure that a lot of the dudes who were working on Spawn were
Probably had some
skating.
connection. Yeah,
Yeah. So
for sure.
anyway, Spawn winds up in a chapel, not an unheard of place for him, but this one's kind of all broken down. He's saying, and perhaps I should let Memnon have his little victory, let his pathetic little planet be torn to shreds. None of us asked for this. From the first man who ever drew breath to the last child ever to be born, we didn't ask for this. Let it end. Let it all unravel. Spare countless generations. Let it end. Let it all unravel. Spare countless generations of the unborn from the horror of this life. Antinatalist Spawn. Uh,
To back
he,
you up real quick, there's that splash page where he's yelling, "Who the hell am I?"
oh yeah,
Where's his head?
that is his back. So his head is in front of the
Oh,
cape.
I see. That is weird.
It's a weird perspective because of his boots
And
kind of
because
just
the way
hanging.
his arms are behind him, you
Yeah, they're a
almost can't.
little spread way back.
That's yeah. All right.
But
Yeah,
yes,
the boots look like a knee, and so it was really messing with my brain. Anyway, so sorry.
he calls out to God and says he's the worst of them all, the father of all miseries. He calls out to God and says, "You're the worst of them all, the father of all miseries." And he says, "It's all a sick joke. There's no rest, not for me, not for anyone. Tell me, are you proud of yourself?" And it's a pretty good splash page
Yeah,
of
it's really
Spawn
cool.
just like desperately reaching up towards the statue of Jesus that is in this broken down old church, saying, "Are you proud of yourself? I didn't create hell, you did. I didn't make the devil, you did. I may be a sinner, but you created sin. I never asked to come back to life. What reason could I possibly have to return to this wretched place? A devil picked me out of a sea of souls and said, 'You there, you work for me.'" And he goes on to lament that he just can't remember what it was that was inside of him that drew him back to earth, that gave him his purpose to begin with. And something starts to happen. There's a shift in the church, and where the only color was really Spawn's cape and everything else was just kind of dreary, green leafy tendrils burst out of the ground. And who should show up but essentially the heap, a heap.
Yeah, and actually, we see the word heap earlier in uh, some of the. There's so many letters all over the
Yes.
pages, but if you're looking for it, you can find the word heap on a previous page, which is kind of fun. Uh, yeah, I as he's kind of lamenting all this to God, we're seeing the green in this kind of rundown church. This
Yeah.
like these leaves kind of like show up, and then they become the heap. And Spawn doesn't know what this is, he but he realizes that this may be what was calling out to him, and
Yeah, it seems like he's lost even some of those memories too.
which, I mean, that does make sense because one, Wanda was part of that
Right.
situation, right? Because Cog tricks him into creating this like perfect bit of Eden, that
Right.
he
True.
creates that Wanda simulacrum from
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
during. So like if he forgets Wanda, I think he has to forget that, which
Right.
means that maybe the rest of the green memories kind of went along with that, and it might be in Mammon's best interest for him to not remember the connection to the green world because
Yeah.
they exist in between heaven and hell and are kind of the third prong of that
Right. Well,
situation.
and especially as Spawn is calling out saying like maybe I'll let Memon destroy the earth. This thing shows up and it doesn't say anything yet, but I love this last page of this issue, the splash of him confronting this heap.
Yeah.
And the colors are so good.
Yep.
They've done a great job here of finally differentiating the green of Spawn's energy.
With this more like blue green in the heaps
Yes,
energy. It's cool.
it is cool. And I do like the whole page. Spawn, let's bring down the house. The heap like reaching up and crashing down the rafters, Spawn's chains wrapping around him. It's great. And on that note, we'll get to our final issue of the episode, Spawn number 149.
All right. Spawn number 149. Todd McFarlane and Image Comics present Random Patterns Part 2 with all the same credits dedicated to the victims of Hurricane Katrina.
Oh Jesus, yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah. So
Uh
it is,
yeah,
the year is
gosh.
2005, and
Wow, how about that? Oh my god, 21 years ago.
wild, right?
It it's wow, geez, and it's still such a source of devastation and grief for so many people. Wow. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. There's no joke for that.
Nope.
No great emo bands formed after Hurricane Katrina, as far as I know,
No.
in the wake. Yeah.
Anyway, when we meet back up with Spawn, he's not fighting right away. The heap is kind of there. The heap is massive, and starts to talk and says, "Hellspawn, you must be stopped." And
Yes. I
and
love the heap's weird teeth in this one panel. I like that they kept the continuity of Spawn energy, like charging his energy there. So we
yeah,
know that it's like that same moment.
the heap looks like Tetsuo
Fuck
at the
yeah.
end of like Akira, kind of like because he looks
Yeah.
like a giant baby or
Yeah.
something. It's kind of cool.
I love
Uh,
Akira.
Medina definitely a fan of
Yes.
Otomo, so I would not be surprised.
Now we
And
get another of these cursed splash pages, double
yeah,
page spreads, where this one's not so bad because like Spawn's just wrapped in a cloud of like smoke anyway.
it's a
But it's
classic
just
cartoon dust up where it's
yeah.
a dust cloud where you're like, oh right, a fight is happening.
Now I will say this next two pages of fight again, the inks and colors are coming together so well through these issues for me. I really love the shades of blue and green that they're using and gray that really work together. The green adds just the right contrast, and then Spawn's cape really stands out. And you get this effect where Spawn really is fighting his entire environment.
Yeah,
Everything around him is part of the battle. I love where it says, it does nothing, tear a hole here, it seals up there. He's like leaping in and out of it. I love the panel of him like leaping through in a cannonball with his arms crossed, his like cape flowing. I love the panel at the top of the next page where he's like crouching and his cape is flying everywhere. And oh man, yeah,
Medina and the rest of the art team are creating a lot of really great balance between the green that he's fighting against versus his like cape. These panels have a lot of really excellent color balance, a lot of an incredible amount of clarity for the amount of lines that are on the page and for what
yes,
is happening, which is he's being
yes,
fought by a bunch of like debris and leaves
yeah.
essentially, but I know what's happening at every turn, which is awesome, and it gives a lot of energy to this fight scene.
Yes, and like I said, it makes the heap more than a creature in the environment. The heap suddenly is the environment, and everywhere Spawn turns, like just like as you said, uh Tetsuo at the end of Akira, where he's just sucking in everything around him, and like they're all Kyrie and Kaneda are like running on tendrils of like his massively mutating flesh and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the effect here. And again, the colors just really sell it so well. There is such a good separation, like you said, between foreground, background, and Spawn and the heap. But whatever Spawn does throughout all of this, it's not enough. The heap kind of grabs him and takes him, as Spawn says, down into the darkness, into the void, surrounded by inky nothingness. He sees Memon, and the green tells him that Memon has polluted him. To him, you're merely a key to the gates of Armageddon. Spawn is being held by these, like, much like his chains, which are wrapping all around, trying to free him. He's being held in this void by endless tendrils of green vines. Again, another really great stark image where most of the this double page spread is just darkness, but Spawn really leaps off the page, and again another shade of green vines that really works here.
And it's a great callback to that initial introduction of the green world as well, where we did see him sinking into this like inky darkness his first trip uh to to meet the keeper and the rest of the green world. And I like also that he's being the communication that he thought he was receiving is kind of coming through here.
Yes.
And you can hear the heap slash the green world saying, this world is not yours, the world is not theirs, you must be shown, you must be taught. You have been polluted. The being called Mammon uses you as a tool, a puppet on a string. To him, you're merely a key to the open gate, to open the gates of Armageddon. Heaven and hell play like willful children, fighting for the souls of mankind. This world is home to man, but it does not belong to man. It belongs to itself. You are steps away from starting a war. Your efforts must stop here. You must be purged.
Yeah, and as they say that, Spawn travels into his memory. We see a glimpse of Al's childhood. He's saying, Gotham City can rest easy at last. The Al Knight returns. He's wearing this red cape. He's leaping through this memory that's all sort of grayed out. He says, someone says, Al, is that you? And he says, yes, Mom. She says to go get ready for dinner. Don't touch the cookies. And he goes into the other room and says, he's eating a cookie and says, hi, Pop. And it says nobody's home on the paper he's reading, and he lowers it, and we see that it's Mammon. And outside of this house where they live is just a shattered wasteland of nothingness,
Yeah.
assumedly Spawn's memories. The green world starts telling him what's going to unfold. Now, here's another double page spread where Spawn is just stuck in the middle. I get
Yeah.
the intent here. Doesn't I'm at the very end of this book, so like there's
It's
not
a
that
little bit
much
easier to
it's a
flatten it
little bit
out.
easier, but that just shows you that it's like, oh man, it's still hard to read. And even some of the text balloons are kind of stuck over towards the middle.
Yeah.
um it's saying, the machinery of fate is set in motion, the script is written and the course well plotted, and this is how it will how it will unfold. Memon steals your most precious possession. He remakes you, guides your actions. Events seem random to you, meaningless. They could not be more premeditated. The hellspawn grows despondent of his fate, agrees to crack open the gates of heaven. The second war begins. Below, the earth trembles as the battle reverberates across worlds. And then it goes on to talk about how the Forgotten angels will return and be forced to fight. Creatures of darkness, long hidden from mortal sight, will step out of the shadows. And in hell below, the new king's tower at last breaches the walls of heaven, and an infernal army pours forth. Shadows will engulf the earth, and humanity looks to the sky, the silent sky, praying to a distant god for deliverance. Their pleas go unanswered. And it goes on to explain that Memon has learned the secrets. He has learned the rule of heaven. He has taken the throne, and it says the universe implodes in on itself. The universe implodes in on itself. Countless worlds of possibilities snuffed out before their time. And at the end of it all, Mammon sits on the throne of creation and remakes the universe in his own image. The fate of the earth is of no consequence to him. And the thing is, Hal is like, no,
Yeah.
he's
The thing that has been revealed here is that God is absent. He, like, whatever God is does not exist currently, and that is the secret that Mammon has
and we've kind of
understood.
it's been implied for a while because Memmon's been on the throne, but we still don't exactly know who's missing and why.
Right.
Back in the void, the green world is asking Spawn what he wants, and Spawn is saying I want to be free. The green world says we don't know what that could mean, but we will return to you what has been taken. And he returns Spawn's memories, saying he could only control you, Memon, could only control you if you had no reason to control yourself. To that end, he took the last of your humanity, the last best part of your soul. I love this double page spread of Spawn just like soaring through the darkness towards
Yeah,
this
it's cool.
point of light.
I even like
And
the big eyes in that
yeah,
first panel there. Really cool. Of
yeah,
the
that
heap
works.
slash the keeper or whoever it is.
And oh god, more of the yeah, I think that's the heap's eyes I want to say.
Yeah.
But they also kind of resemble Spawn's, just
Mm-hmm.
that bluish energy. Spawn arrives back on Earth, back at the grave of Al Simmons, and he's like, "This is it." This, and he's kind of confused. He's like, "This is my hope," but out of the ground comes, out of Al's grave grows a massive tree with Al's body attached to it, and Spawn looks up and sees glinting in the light something that we all thought, at least he might have thought, was lost forever. His ring,
It
his
falls
wedding
into his
ring.
hand.
And it says Alan Wanda forever. And that's it. He's got some grasp on his old life, on his Wanda. And maybe that will see him through.
Yeah, that's just kind of where we're left. And I had said just before we really got into this issue, like, oh, would it be helpful to just hear from Mammon? And this issue does kind of lay it all out for us as we get into 150 in the next episode. But like, I don't know that it's super satisfying because it does feel a little bit like the restating of everything that's happened a little bit just to kind of prep you for the next thing that's about to happen. And Spawn has not really seen any consequences from having the memories of Wanda taken away, except that he just kind of wandered around for a while. I think that that's like where my frustration lies, is that when we don't check in with villains enough, and the same thing kind of happened with Clown, and the same thing kind of happened with
Right.
Malbolgia, and the same thing kind of happened with Jason Wynn, is that we keep being told that Spawn's being used for stuff. And then we keep not really getting a full understanding of what he's being used for. Like Jason Wynn using Al when he was human, we can understand on a really visceral level because the government is terrible. So having a government flunky who's utilizing a black ops special agent to met out the justice that he deems necessary in the world to capture power within a country's power structure. Sure, I understand that. And Malbolgia even being like, I need you to send people to hell so that I can build up an army because I want to take over heaven. Okay, great. Clown's machinations past any of those, either of those, to either of those ends, we don't really get an understanding of. Mammon hasn't told us a ton. We've been told a lot, is
Yeah,
what
I
it feels
mean,
like.
again, it feels like maybe some of the issues could have been used for maybe more things, like the forgotten ones being freed, more of those things that are disrupting that order, because
Yeah.
that seems like the one big thing Spawn has really done after, disrupting the order of hell. Like, he did that, absolutely. You can put that on his shoulders. We've been dealing with the consequences of that, as we've said, but he hasn't done a whole lot else to like upset the balance until the thing with the forgotten ones, and it
Hmm.
feels like maybe there's a step or two missing in here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder if it's just like, oh shit, we're getting to 150. Like something big has to happen. Interestingly, Armageddon, right, won't even start in 150. We're going to get into that arc after the next arc,
Right.
which is kind of interesting. Uh, you know, it's, we're, it's, we're in, I, I'm understanding more and more why people are down on this era. There's definitely some good stuff. There
Right.
is definitely some stuff that leaves you hanging a little bit. As a reader, I feel like I'm left holding the bag a little bit, in
Right.
that if I was paying $3 every month for this book or waiting for it every month, I wouldn't be like, we've had spurts where we've been like, can't wait to read the next issue. And then we've had spurts where we're just like frustrated, I think, with the pacing, frustrated with the lack of answers. And I like books that want to put us in the POV of the main character. I guess we're getting into final thoughts a little bit here, but
That's true. Yeah, I mean, we
you
might
know,
as well
yeah,
go ahead and call that the conversation.
yeah, I like when books want to put us in the POV of the main character. I think when we have these kind of like troubled, lost, desperate characters, that it's interesting to force the reader into their mindset a little bit, to force a reader to only see the interiority of that character and to interact with the events of the book as the character does, right?
Right.
Where things are withheld. And Spawn, for what it's worth, typically isn't like a mystery, right? So it's not like, we want to kind of, uh there's something to solve necessarily. I
Right.
think what you're really waiting for in a Spawn book is a payoff, right? You just want to
Right.
feel like what you've invested. And what this is true of many superhero comics. You want to feel that like the time that you've spent with an arc is going to amount to something. And right now, even right now, as the heap slash the green world, whatever it is, has now told us something else,
Mhm.
which, couldn't it just be another machination of Mammon, right? That like maybe he's doing this again, like it could be, and that's frustrating, and it probably isn't, because that would be infuriating. But like,
Right.
and it would run counter, I think, to the original point of taking away the memory of one or whatever. But I think that, there's not a ton of payoff. It doesn't feel like there's a ton of payoff. Killing Malbolgia was a huge payoff, and I think the book has been struggling to find out how to get back to something that's going to be as satisfying as that
Right.
now. And I think that that's what is going to kind of lead to the change in the main character, is a sense of, fuck, did we tell every story that we could tell with Al Simmons?
Right.
And
And I mean, we'll learn that no, we haven't.
no, but it's going to take some time to get back. I do think, obviously DC does legacy characters more than Marvel does. Um, but I do think that Marvel has definitely run up against the oh shit, did we run out of Peter Parker stories? Um, kind of impasse. And what did they do? Right? It's the thing that they'll do right around the time that this book is coming out. This book
Right.
is coming out, which is that they're going to just erase a part of his continuity and kind of start over. And Brand
Yeah.
New Day does lead to a lot of really fun stories. You do just kind of have to ignore the awkward way we got to them. And now I think Spider-Man is in 2026, Spider-Man is stuck in another perpetual kind of problem, which is like the best version of Spider-Man in the last 5 years has been the Ultimate Spider-Man that is
Oh, I've talked about Spider-Man so much, and like I'll say it again. There are fans who were not alive for any point of Mary Jane and Peter Parker being together in comics who are full of inherited anger.
That's so weird to me. I've
It
definitely run
is
into people who, like, when they're like, can't believe the new movie's called Brand New Day. And I'm like, did you read comics? Like, when that was all coming out, like,
right.
they're fine. They're fine comics. Brand New Day is fine. It's perfectly fine. One More Day is rough, but you know what? Every character's got weird stories that are like not great. If they lead to good
Right.
stories down the line, then that's all that matters. But my point here is that like characters frequently will get like not every character is going to has a perfect track record. If I had to
Right.
pick a character that has the most consistent track record, and this is completely subjective, my opinions are represented by this podcast. No,
Well, you know what's interesting about that is those of my employer
are
are not
not.
at
Oh, good.
all.
Uh, Daredevil, right? Daredevil has arguably the most consistent run to run. Like people are satisfied, and they're not even that satisfied. But I think Daredevil fans are a little bit easier to sate than Spider-Man or X-Men fans, for instance, or even like
Right.
Batman fans. But Spawn, you know, there's only this is the one book, and it still has Todd's name on it, and it still has. We're only on our third major artist at this point, and 12 years in, 13 years in, it does finally feel like it's starting to lose a little bit of steam. And like we said, in like Todd kind of lamented in our review of the first, not review, but just sort of
Our retrospective.
our retrospective on those first 100 issues with him is like, you know, we've said the Dr. Dooms thing a few times, and Mammon feels kind of like it, but you know, he kind of lamented like not having more Dr. Dooms, not having more avenues to explore really big bads. And that is becoming more and more evident, especially as this book takes chess pieces off the board, right? Terry and Wanda are off the board. Sam and Twitch are off the board. Malbolgia and Clown are off the board. And we're Jason Wynn's off the board at this point, right? And or we see brief glimpses of these characters as we kind of go along. And it is starting to feel like a snake kind of eating its tail.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of just been letting you cook here
Yeah.
because, like, I agree with most of what you're saying. I think that you're right about Menon as Doctor Doom, which is just he just needs more of those oomph moments.
Yeah.
He needs a moment where he and Spawn clash physically, and like Spawn loses the fight and has to lick his wounds a little bit. We haven't seen that as much with Mammon. That's how you build that arch enemy status. Is
Mhm.
like he has to be something for the hero to overcome, and he is, but it's so nebulous because his goals keep being said in like these no you don't need to just flat out say this is what he wants to do, but there are aspects of his plan and what he is doing that are being left to our imagination that's a little less satisfying.
Well, here's the problem. Here's ultimately the problem, right? Think about Batman villains, Spider-Man villains as probably two of the greatest rogues galleries of all time, right? For
Yeah,
singular
absolutely. I
heroes, if
mean,
we're
I
not going to
think
go, if we're
arguably
not,
the two greatest.
yeah, if we're not going to go with teams, right? But we can include X-Men here too, right? The reason like Magneto is a great villain is because what he wants runs directly counter to what the X-Men want, typically, right? When Magneto is a great villain, and it's usually because he's an anti-hero in some way, and maybe they have the same goal, but they want to go about it very different ways. Why is Apocalypse a great villain? Once again, he runs counter to what the X-Men want to do, right?
Yeah.
As much as I love like Inferno, Madeline Pryor and Nastir feel like lesser villains because like, yeah, all right, we just want to like
They're a
Limbo
little
in New
more
York.
niche. They're just so tied to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
That
And I mean, in a
story.
way that's similar to Menon. He's so tied to these little bits of Spawn lore, but again, I just want more of those big moments leading into this big this big crescendo, you know what I
Well,
mean?
well, the thing is that Mammon winning doesn't really change anything for Spawn. Spawn has no stakes really in anything because
Well, now Memon
he's
winning does have stakes because he'll rewrite all of reality. So like,
yeah, at that point, at this point, what does that matter to Al? It kind of
right.
doesn't because he's almost he's a passenger in this
Well, that's
story.
why the green is fighting him in this story, because it's trying
Yeah.
to be like, hey, look, you have to care.
But I think that
You
that's
have
what
to care.
But I think that that's the difference between the first 100 issues and where we've come since these last 50 issues or so. Because in the first 100 issues, we do have a motivation for Spawn where he says, "I will get out of this deal. I will kill Malbolgia. I will get my wife back." Right? Killing Malbolgia allows him to get his wife back. Maybe it doesn't because he doesn't think ahead. But that is we understand his motivation. His continuing to be Spawn at this point and just be a tool. Like I said, he's a passenger in this story. He's a passenger in somebody else's plan once again. But now he's unmoored from any sort of like, he could just kind of dip out of this story and kind of let all this stuff happen. And it doesn't necessarily matter. Whereas, like,
Right.
for Peter Parker to let Norman Osborn win, we've seen what happens when he
Well,
becomes the
I
president,
think
basically,
part of the
like,
difference also, though, is that Peter Parker is sort of a reluctant hero, but his moral core guides him always back towards, like, well, I've got to go in and save the people and be a hero. Al doesn't always have that instinct.
yeah,
He is in the same way a perpetually reluctant hero, but he's also reluctant to even try a lot of the time.
true.
Like Spider-Man overcomes that. That's why we love Peter Parker, because no matter what you put in his way, he's like, if I have to climb this wall, I'm climbing this fucking wall. If I
Right.
have to lift this warehouse, I'm lifting this fucking warehouse. Spawn gets to that point, but he doesn't get there so much because of, at this point, especially without Wanda in the picture, I would say we've seen him do less and less.
Yeah.
Maybe that is true that the motivation is gone. So
There's a
it,
petulance to Spawn
yes,
that is odd because he's not like, we expect that from like a Damian Wayne, for instance, right? We expect a certain level of like immaturity and sort of a sort of derision, an almost meta derision of the state of the stakes and the situation at hand, right? We sort of expect that from certain characters, and I think that with a character that you've been with for such a long time, as much as I've had a very good time with this ride, I do grow weary of. I was so excited when he turned down the invitation of heaven when he
I
was
thought that
like,
was so interesting.
so cool. I was like, cool, I'm going to
Well,
protect the earth. And then he never really
Well,
does
Mimon keeps
it.
pulling that away from him, trying to make
Yeah.
him not do that. And here we have the green running counter to that. It almost would have been interesting if the green had some, or the green world, I keep saying the green like it's DC, the green world had some sort of agent working with, like, almost if Nyx was a representative of the green world.
Right.
That would have been kind of interesting. I'm, again, not to rewrite, but like that
Or if we just saw
counterpoint,
the keeper again.
or sure, just but having that counterpoint of someone being like, Spawn, you have to care, and it's not because of like whatever thing Cog was trying to get you to understand about heaven and hell. It's because Earth matters to you. Earth
Yeah.
matters to you. And
I
here's why
think,
Earth matters to you. So I like them giving that back. But boy, we've been going on final thoughts for almost as long as we talked about the issue.
you know what it is? It's because I think that while the issues, I don't think that these are great issues. They have been, one of the things that I've really been thinking about a lot with regards to our show being interesting or attempting to be, is that like, the book has to move a little bit.
Right.
And I am a little excited to move into an era of a new writer and a new artist.
Let's see what happens.
Those will bring us some new things to talk about. I am, for as much as people don't necessarily like the Jim Downey era, from what I can understand, from what I've been told. I'm excited to get into, okay, how does this book look without Al Simmons? Does it work at
Right.
all? You know, and
Well,
it's
and a lot of people are inherently biased against a legacy character for like a character that doesn't need to go away. Does Al need to go away? At this point, I think something needs to be done with him to make him more focused. But
yeah,
if that means kind of taking him off the board for a little while, I don't necessarily blame it. The other thing about these issues is you're right, they're not great. But as usual, the art there's always something I find that's like,
sure.
oh, this is really good. The art really carried me through some of these. Like, if these looked like some of the previous issues we've covered had looked,
Oh yeah,
they would have been so much harder to read. The wolf issue was stupid, but it looked great.
look good.
And so I breezed through it like, okay, I guess I get it. And the storytelling wasn't all that it's cracked up to be, especially when you consider like Al did nothing but hurt everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Anyway,
We're getting kind of sent mixed signals about his role in kind of everything, and
well, I
like,
think, and that's where the green world is coming in now to
yeah,
snap him back and say, like, your role in this has actually always been that you're the only one who can stop them from destroying Earth.
yeah.
Does
I
heaven and hell, you're right, don't matter. But
I
what
do
matters is Earth.
I do think also we've lamented the loss of Angela for quite some time,
Yeah.
but we are missing a sort of also like a running mate.
Like a foil.
Yeah.
I mean,
Angela
that's
felt like she knew what was going on, and he's missing now a character who
well,
has that.
even Nyx was an interesting companion. If you want to put it in like, I don't love making everything Doctor Who because they didn't invent the like two-hander. But like if you want to put it in the context of a companion, yeah, someone who contextualizes Al and who contextualizes Spawn. We have the night people in the
I was just gonna
beginning.
say, I miss Bobby
I
and Bootsy.
I miss Bobby and Bootsy and the others because as Spawn has gone through this journey, as Al has gone through this journey, he's gotten less and less human. And I do think it's interesting that he finally got his humanity back, and now he has no connection to it.
Yeah.
I think that that's been explored, but maybe there are ways it could have been tapped into more effectively. So,
Is there a world where where those kind of, do you think that there's a world where instead of him becoming completely disconnected from those human characters, that and we saw the weird ways in which he does interact with some of those characters once he gets his
mhm.
humanity back, but it doesn't really go anywhere significant. Do you think that like there could have been something where he maybe does return to like normal life for a little bit,
That would have
like
been interesting. I mean, look,
like the further part of Mammon erasing his memory, or erasing Wanda, right? Is that he maybe Mammon erases that Al was gone, and that
it
he
could be
gets to
like almost like
step
a whole
back,
brand new day thing, which might be a
right?
little too on the nose for this era because that was exactly when this was happening.
Yeah, but
Um,
if you posit it as he's still Spawn, has those powers,
right. No, I
and
think there is a direction where they could have capitalized more on the idea that like there's
like
the
if his
monkey's
memory gets
paw.
changed, that he's always been Terry's best friend, that
I
he was
mean,
maybe he
maybe
was never with
that
Wanda.
could have worked. Like I think that I don't necessarily know if that's the way it should have gone. I think it could have gone that way.
Yeah,
I do think that they haven't necessarily done enough with that idea of the monkey's paw of Al's wish fulfillment.
yeah,
I
yeah,
finally got my humanity back and I don't have anything else.
yeah.
I can't connect to anyone. I do think I miss like a Granny Blake. I
Hmm.
miss a Nyx. So Nyx would work for me. I like
Yeah,
Nyx. She was interesting because again, she had knowledge beyond and outside of Al, but she also had knowledge that Al needed.
yeah.
And she had some way to drive that story. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I'll say this. I think it would be impossible for anything to perfectly pay off a story that has taken this long to tell. We
That's
look
true.
at like great finales of stuff, the Stranger Things being the most recent example. I think Stranger Things sucks. I haven't seen it. Have we talked about this? Maybe I
Uh,
have. Maybe we
mm,
have. We
I
have
like the
because of
first.
Ghostbusters.
I like the
First
first
season was
couple
fine.
of seasons.
Doesn't matter. I don't think it sucks. I just have no interest in it.
Sure.
But the finale I know has been so controversial that like there was even a group of people who were like, "Oh, that's not the real finale. The real one's going
Which
to
is
secretly
crazy.
be released." That is like Snyder brain like kind of shit. But it's because there's so much mythology lost. You know, the classic example. They don't know how to end it because there's no way to satisfactorily sum up
Yeah.
10 years of people's lives.
Well, that and like a big plot point that got contradicted was in the Ninja Turtles Stranger Things crossover.
Is that canon?
Well, I guess it's not, but people were like, "Wait, we read that, and that story is just that the Stranger Things kids go on a trip to New York and they end up meeting the turtles because there's a bunch of the demi-dogs in like the sewers and stuff,
Yeah.
and then there's like a portal and like the technodrome's going to come through, and then a thing like that happens in this season of Stranger Things, and everybody who read the comic was like, "Wait, that's Dimension X." Hold on.
So they
We
did a
did this.
Batman Houdini.
Yeah, exactly.
They did a Batman Houdini. They totally did. They were like,
It
that's
all
straight
comes
up
back
what
to
happened.
Houdini. Yeah.
Master of magic. That's all there is to it.
Oh,
But yeah, no, but again, you just can't sum up 10 years of people's lives. We know for a fact that you and I right now probably know more of the dumbass little minutia of like every single stupid issue of Spawn than the creators did going into Spawn number 150 because I mean we've known for a
we've
fact
because
like
we've
that.
spent 200 hours talking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. And like fans, when you look at something like Game of Thrones or again Lost or whatever, fans have so many theories because there's so many things that they think are like, oh, they purposefully seeded
Yeah.
in episode 1 this dumb fucking thing, and
Yeah.
this thing looked like it in season 9, and it's
We have
like
a magnifying glass that the creators are not using because
they're
also
not interpreting their own work
we're
the way
talking
that
about
we
these
are.
books. We're talking about we've talked about now almost 100. We've talked about more than 150 issues of the Spawn universe
Right. We've talked about a
in
lot of Spawn unit.
in
Spawn.
2 years.
Yes.
These books took
This is
13
almost 20 years.
years.
Yeah, this is going on 20 years at this point.
Yeah. So,
Of,
and
of
that's not even counting, yeah, Todd's initial creation of
yeah.
Spawn. So,
So again, it's just impossible to satisfactorily wrap that story up. That's why a Marvel comic can never end. That's
yeah,
why, like, if Spider-Man was going to end, it would have been Superior Spider-Man. That would, if Peter
100%.
Parker was going to end, that would have been it, because that would have been the only satisfactory way to like move on from him somehow.
Yeah.
And
And interestingly, that was one of the only satisfactory ways to bring him back
yeah,
was having a great story that felt like an ending and with his ultimate triumph and the re
well,
the
and again, if that had been the end of this whole thing, Peter
yeah,
Parker's return, you'd have been like,
great.
kind of fucking sick.
Yeah.
You know, that's the movie ending. That's the No Way Home ending. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So even those narratives aren't meant to end. So like when you get to something like this, and we're talking a lot about this going into it, but I mean it's a huge milestone,
Yeah.
this huge issue. I think it's worth putting the microscope down on what's come before and what's going on leading directly into it. I am prepared for it not to be the most satisfying ending and to also be fine with that.
Yeah. Same.
Because it can't possibly be as satisfying to wrap up every single little thing and every single plot point. Also, with the knowledge that they probably don't want to forever exclude Al Simmons from returning. We know he will.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And Jim will not. Not exactly anyway,
You
So
know, not
uh
every replacement character can be John Stewart. They can't all be Rhodey. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, there are certain legacy characters that people
Hell,
love.
even Wally West, right? Like
Wally West is the best
great
legacy
example.
character ever.
Yeah.
Absolutely surpasses Barry Allen by every possible metric, except for the trial of Barry Allen and Christ on Infinite Earths,
Yep.
both of which are necessary stories for Wally West to become the Flash that he eventually would become. I need to catch back up with Flash a little bit because I know that there's been some cool Wally stuff. But when they brought Barry back 10, 15 years ago or
15 years
whatever,
ago, yeah.
15 years ago, I was just over it immediately because I just don't think he's as interesting a character.
You know
And
what's
I think
funny
that
with Barry is that like I had no connection to the Flash, but I really like Francis Manipul's art.
mhm,
So I bought that Flash run and I was like,
it's
this is
fine.
fine.
It's
It
fine.
looks nice.
It was more just like we're gonna do it all again,
Yeah,
but
yeah. And
1% different and it
as
worked.
somebody who didn't read any of it because I'm a late comer to DC stuff,
Yeah.
I was like I had a good time with it.
If you go
So
back and read that like classic Mark Waid, early Jeff Johns Flash, oh that shit's so good.
I've
And
read
then
like
they
some of the
both
Grant
do cover
Morrison.
versions of themselves that aren't
Yeah,
interesting. I mean, Wally also a fantastic in Grant's Justice League.
true.
One of the
That's
best
true.
Wally and that comic and the relationship between Wally and Kyle Rayner is to me the most compelling reason for Kyle Rayner to even exist.
Is Kyle Rayner unfortunately the only Green Lantern that people are like,
He's got his fans. He's got people that are like die hard Kyle Rayner fans. I
I guess
used to
so.
be like, bring back Hal. Now I think Hal Jordan's so fucking played out. Green Lantern was one of my favorite characters, and now it's just like,
Well,
yeah,
because you love cops, right?
yeah. I mean, I did want to be a cop at one point. We've talked about that.
Well, you wanted
But
to be a space cop.
honestly, I would still. That's the only way I'd be a cop. I would be the most derelict, shitty, unproductive fucking Green Lantern because I would just always be out there fucking like batting stars around and not bothering with like, oh, they did what on where? I don't fucking care. That sounds like shoplifting. And I'm just like zooming through space at light speed. You couldn't tell me what
You
to
have
do.
tenure, so the Guardians can't get rid of you.
Yeah, that's how I do it. I would just be the worst, most derelict fucking Green Lantern
They were
officer.
like, we thought we had it bad with Guy Gardner.
But I just love, green energy laser powers. I think that's cool and
That's why
everything.
we're
And
reading Spawn.
I mean, honestly, but once they got to Blackest Night, that killed the entire character for me. Just the concept was like so overblown, and like they have never moved on from the emotional spectrum shit. And it's like,
Yeah.
this is going to be it forever now. Welcome to Green Lanternography.
Well,
But
listen,
and again, though, in terms of like replacing characters, building a legacy, moving forward, there are hits and misses, and I'm interested to see what will hit and what will miss.
me too. Well, George, before we go, do you have any recommendations for our listeners this week?
Well, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and give the blanket recommendation of just trying to get involved in your community somewhere, in community watch groups, mutual aid groups, whatever you can do, however you can do it. There are ways to help, and we all know why that needs to happen right now. Why we need to actually band together in a very peaceful and productive way to protect each other. My other recommendation I will give is the show Very Important People, which I think you can see on Instagram or Dropout TV. It's so fucking funny. It's so good, and I've really needed something just ridiculous and lighthearted lately. So there you go. It's a lot of fun.
You saw the last episode with Archimedes and
Oh my
Ollie.
god. Yes.
Oh
The
my
two
goodness.
funniest ones I've seen are both actually Brandon Lee Mulligan, which
I mean,
I don't give a
of
shit
course.
about gaming podcasts or whatever, like the playthrough D&D
That
podcast.
guy's funny though.
Oh, but yeah, they're all trained comedians.
Yeah.
And like that's why those shows are popular and good, because they all have years and years and years of improvisational
Yeah.
emotional experience. But yes, that episode where he plays a baby, and the one where he and his wife play wrestlers. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it
I
is one
haven't
of the
seen that one.
funniest things I've seen in so
I
long.
gotta watch it.
Just check it out. You can see most of it on their Instagram.
Hell yeah. I have two recommendations. One is going to be subscribe to Dropout. Reason being that even if you are asked to audition for Dropout, you're included in their profit sharing. Dropout is the way that all creative endeavors should be. And so, like, yes, if you like what you see on Instagram, pay the $5 or $7 or whatever a month it
Yeah,
is,
it's not
because
bad.
it rules. It has an app. If you have a Fire TV or any sort of smart TV, you can get the app.
Yep.
Just support really cool creators making really cool shit. Honestly, I've never watched an episode of anything that they've put out, and like, yeah, I don't care for the D&D episodes as much
No, but
because
there's other stuff.
I don't find watching
That's
other
like
people.
one thing of like their whole lineup.
Totally, it feels ultimately like a minor part of it.
Well, and for some people, that's a huge benefit. For some
Yeah,
people, love that. So
sure.
I'm not going to say I'm
And
not
I will
going to
say that even
criticize that.
the clips I've seen from that, again, it's trained comedians doing trained comedian improv things.
Right.
And so it's not your friends who just finished Improv 101 asking you to come to their graduation show. So Dropout TV, definitely support those folks. That is the kind of like creative endeavor that I hope to be involved in, and so at some point to be a
Yeah.
small part of something like that is just really amazing.
I mean,
The,
anybody who is any group that is willing to do like profit sharing to bring the people into an actual like organization of labor. I mean, most of those people I think are probably all at this point like SAG-AFTRA or WGA or both or more producers, whatever.
sure.
But anything that leans into that kind of like community building and union building, especially the entertainment industry where I work, yeah, I like it.
Hell yeah. And my second recommendation is a movie I saw yesterday called Obex. Just came out from Albert Birney. It's an indie movie about, it's shot in black and white, set in 1987, about a man who lives alone with his dog. He makes like ASC2 art. He
Oh,
has
okay.
like he takes out like an ad in like Personal Computer Monthly that says
ASCII.
like,
That's how
is
I
that what it
always said.
is?
I don't know.
I don't know. I've always just said the letters.
Yeah.
Anyway, the abbreviation. Anyway, he puts an ad in like a Personal Computer Monthly magazine that says like, I can draw you on my computer. And he like, that's how he makes money, is people send him $5 and a photo of themselves. And then he like draws them with the computer and prints it out and sends it back to them. But he sees an ad for a game called Obex that says, hey, send us a videotape of you and some poses and we'll put you in the game. He does so, and it awakens the demon Ixaroth. And
Okay.
let's just say he does get put into the game and goes on a journey of
Okay.
self-discovery. And
Sounds fun.
it was really interesting. It's 90 minutes long. By the time this comes out, it will probably be on VOD.
You know what else is 90
Definitely
minutes
check
long?
it out.
This podcast tonight.
Yeah, we did a great job. But yeah, those are my two recommendations: Dropout TV and Albert Birney's Obex. If you like the show, please rate, review, subscribe. Look, we're almost at 150. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And
Almost to 100 episodes.
yeah, we're almost there, which is insane, absolutely insane. Here we are. It took us 2 years to get to 100 issue 150. So in like 2 more years, we'll be almost caught up to
And
where
then
Spawn
only be
actually
another
is.
100 issues after that.
Exactly. Yeah, if you like the show, rate, review, subscribe, let people know. That really, really helps. We don't pay for ads. So, word of mouth is really great. And George, one last thing. For Todd so loved the world,
He gave his only begotten spawn.
See you later, Hellspawn. Spawnography is recorded in Athens, Georgia, and Queens, New York. It's produced by me, Pierce Lyden. Our theme music and logo were composed by George Marston. Episodes come out every Monday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like the show, please rate, review, subscribe. You can find us on social media at Spawnography or at SpawnographyPod. If you'd like to reach out to us directly, you can do so at spawnographypod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, see you later, Hellspawn. Now, I know you might think that what I'm about to tell you is just a podcast, but I swear every word of it is the Bible truth. So help me.
You want to try that last part again?
Yeah.
I stumbled over it. Sorry.
Yep.
I was just in the studio producing, so I'm like,
one more
hey, let's
time.
maybe do another take of that one.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, but let's just fire one off. Okay, your motivation is you're introducing a podcast.
Beautiful. Okay, got it.